Welcome to Why Should I Care, a pop culture podcast. We're going to go over a few obscure pilots that never made it to air, a few that we got a chance to watch recently, and we are going to be reviewing. The first of which is Heat, Vision, and Jack, starring Jack Black and Owen Wilson, directed by Ben Stiller, written by Dan Harmon of Rick and Morty fame.
Knowledge is power, for real.
Astronaut on the run, Jack Austin with special powers from a blast of solar energy and his talking motorcycle with the mind of Jack's unemployed roommate Doug, played by Owen Wilson, must deal with a malevolent life form that's possessing people, turning them into dust, as well as being on the run from NASA's villainous hitman, real-life actor Ron Silver. So pure ridiculousness, definitely inspired by Knight Rider and the old 70s sci-fi shows of the time.
This might be one of the first iterations of Ben Stiller playing himself as a dick, as like that, because that's sort of been since this. Like anytime he portrays himself in something, he always portrays himself as an egomaniacal dickhead. And I think this is
you should set it up. Let them know the opening scene.
Sure. So Ben Stiller comes out, brags about his Emmy, says that George Lucas never won an Emmy, and then proceeds to say that this is basically going to be his Star Wars.
Very mahogany room he's in while he's saying that. I'm pretty sure there's a large globe.
There's an oaken desk in front of him. Many
very
books.
Ornate. Yeah.
Yes.
There's an MTV Movie Award on the desk.
Yeah,
right.
Forgot about that.
Yep. It feels like this is the earliest example I've seen of him do that, which is like, I'm Ben Stiller, America's asshole.
Once again, America, I give you what you want.
And I've earned it.
And this is like, it's the weirdest combination to me. This is actually, it probably is of the three, I think it's the best one, like in that it succeeds at what it's trying to do the most, which is be a giant lampooning and lambasting of this sort of genre of like the $6 Million Man and Knight Rider, and then injecting like obviously like comic book elements like Fantastic Four and then the idea that you're super powered by the sun, but when you run out of your superpower, you're a fucking idiot.
You're just a regular guy, which is great because typically astronauts
are superheroes.
They're just a lot smarter than.
No, that's what I mean. Is astronauts tend to be fighter pilots, and all fighter pilots are fucking Captain America.
Throw it away.
And there's a music sting in this that makes me laugh, and I don't think it was intended as a joke, obviously, because it was '99, but
Frank.
Semi-Charmed
Life.
Yes.
Yeah, and
that was fantastic.
And then a woman gets vaporized.
The embodiment of all evil. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I just thought, like, oh, Vanessa Carlton's husband is the guy that infected everybody? How sad.
The only thing that would have been better is maybe like Two Princes by the Spin Doctors.
Yes.
Spin Doctors?
Absolutely.
I mean, to be fair, everyone just thought that was Third Eye Blind anyway, so who even cares?
That's true.
Yeah, I remember hearing Closing Time for the first time, and I was like, man, that's a great song. And he's like, yeah, it's my fastball. I was like, thank you. And I could not find it for the longest time.
Is that Semisonic?
It was, yeah.
Okay.
Truly a magical time when you just didn't think to look things up.
Well, no, it was a truly magical time when Napster, just everyone had the same 16 kbps bitrate copy of Semi-Charmed Life by Green Day. And
great times. But yeah. Semi-Charmed was a spectacular choice for that very moment. Instead of something like old-timey or something haunting, it was something just incorrect.
Oh, and by the way, I don't know if either of you guys know this, but it was recently, it's 3 years ago or so, was playing in a 90s cover band called Semi-Charmed Life.
Yes.
I remember that.
Yeah, so this song has already haunted your dreams.
Oh, yeah. It's the only band I've ever been kicked out of.
Oh, wow. I have no idea.
Yeah. Oh, it was. I mean, you know, it's all good. It's all good now. But me and the other singer didn't get along so good. It's because I used to come on a stage like just with my penis out before every show and just walk out and go,
That's a choice.
"Are you not entertained?" I mean, people were either shocked or awed or offended, but they had a reaction. And at the end of the day, I think that's what you're looking for.
Gladiator wasn't for everyone. See, that's how you know that, you know, the audience was on your side. I think at least they understood.
Yeah, they knew what I was going for. Might have appreciated it, but they understood it.
So what was the encore like?
I literally would just walk backwards with my butt cheeks spread, doing a Clint Eastwood impression. Do you feel lucky? And they did. Genuinely, most of the people did. I polled the audience afterwards, and they said, "Yeah, felt pretty lucky."
We'll be back with more Heat Vision and Jack right after this.
The band had to call their HR representative.
So awesome.
So yeah,
So Heat Vision and Jack.
Jack Black was also vocalist.
He was.
Tenacious D.
So what is everyone's favorite part? Because I think my favorite part is Owen Wilson as a motorcycle tripping a henchman.
What's the matter? Feel like you're tripping?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, he can't use doorknobs, and
and he can be easily pushed over.
Jack, where are you? What?
Heat Vision.
You pushed me over.
He got away?
Listen, lady, he pushed me over.
Okay, buddy. It's okay.
Apparently not.
Jack.
And also, Heat Vision doesn't really factor into anything that he does or can do.
No, his name is just Heat Vision.
It's just his. Well, I mean, his human name was Doug.
Doug,
Right.
yeah. So his license plate says Doug,
Doug
right?
1, yeah.
Doug 1.
It's yeah, which is just quintessential unemployed roommate right there. But yeah.
Yep, so I mean, it opens up with a short order cook, and he is listening to a radio at a diner, and it starts to glow, like Tommy Knocker style.
Bachelor.
He gets possessed. He's hitting it to try to get it to work, and then he becomes a being called Paragon.
Paragon.
And one of my favorite quotes from that was, "All monkey sluts shall be absorbed." Fantastic.
Yes, monkey sluts.
I feel like a lot of this was written and then kind of you just kind of went. There was no beginning and end in mind other than threat presents itself, hero exists, issue is resolved, hero moves on. Because I don't know.
It's like a freak of the week type of format for sure.
I mean, sure, yeah, but it definitely, I feel like that wasn't touched on very much. There were just a couple of times where he's just talking about he's just upset with women, and then he's vaporizing them.
Yeah, I did find the misogynistic quality of it to be interesting.
No real motivation there, but I mean, all right.
Yeah. An evil entity with mommy issues.
Like, six. I think
Equal pay? That's bullshit.
6 prostitutes that he vaporized in a hotel room later on.
There's another.
Well, and the strippers at the pirate themed strip club.
Yes, where Ben Stiller plays the pirate DJ.
Very Zoolander fight during that too.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think my favorite line is Doug or Heat Vision. Is that blood? The blood of tomatoes.
Right.
Yeah. The whole montage of his power starting to work, so ridiculous.
I know everything. Yeah.
And you would think the sex scene with him and Christine Taylor, who, I mean, it would have been outside. I mean, who knows what that could have been.
There's a window. I mean, it was there was some sunshine coming in, so that could have helped things with the brain expansion. I suppose
we'll never know.
Also, directing your friend to bang your wife for a network TV pilot must be just like an interesting.
Well, they
thing.
met on the set, so they were not yet.
They weren't married at that point.
There you go.
Yep, they literally met making this.
Interesting.
So I found that out in the research I did.
Nice. Well, shows that I did less research than you did. And by less, I mean I watched it, and that was it.
I watched a couple of making of featurettes, and also I think a local news segment where they talked about why it didn't get picked up.
Yeah.
One of the reasons was that it was at that point the most expensive pilot ever put together by Fox, because as I think Dan Harmon said, everybody was getting paid a lot of money to do it.
Yeah.
And the Fox execs thought that was also too risky to turn into an entire series, which was, I mean, really kind of, adds up for Fox in the 90s. I mean, they're like, we've got Risky. It comes on about 10 p.m. It's called Mad TV. Maybe you've heard of it. And,
Ari Spears, ever heard of him?
Yeah, I think as far as out of the three, it's one of the strongest. I can see why it's definitely got a cult status.
Yeah.
But I think that's mainly what those guys have been able to do with their careers since that it's taken it to that. It
was a good, it was sort of like what could have been with all of that star power and lunacy.
Well, it's the 1990th thing I think I've ever watched. Like,
for sure,
it feels so like plucked out of time. Like all the humor and just like the visuals of it, and Christine Taylor's hair, and just like, and really because Jack Black wasn't particularly famous at that point. He'd been in Mars Attacks. And
I think High Fidelity.
And that was kind of it.
High Fidelity yet. He didn't even do that yet.
Wow.
Okay.
He had done Tenacious D shorts for HBO.
That's right. Okay.
He was a lovable stoner in I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. He was a airline attendant in a Foo Fighters video.
I remember that. I remember the Foo Fighters.
But he was slated to do High Fidelity the year after this came out. So he hadn't even really broken.
Okay. So yeah, I think that's the other interesting part because like neither had Owen Wilson really at that point. It was like Bottle Rocket.
Wow.
I was here's a fun aside. So the little girl in Bottle Rocket I worked with when I was 18 at a bar in Pflugerville, and she would not fucking stop talking about how she was in Bottle Rocket. She thought that made her the shit, and she didn't realize it was Pflugerville, Texas, and I was the only person anywhere within 10 miles that had seen a goddamn Wes Anderson film.
So I've seen the cover of Bottle Rocket.
Wow.
And that's as close as I've come to seeing Bottle Rocket. So sadly, I'm not familiar with her work.
Bottle Rocket's great.
All right. I mean, yeah, it was just from working at Blockbuster. I was like, all right.
It's pre Rushmore too, so like it's really before Wes Anderson was particularly notable.
I seem to remember that being like known specifically for being a big Wes Anderson like indie film before he started doing like crazy shit with big names.
I really think though, had they spent the money, he said that the pilot was the most expensive at 20th Century Fox at the time. I think they should have just opened some sunken pleasure strip clubs. That franchise would have clearly been more successful than this pilot.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, and to me, when and the term sunken has a different connotation after Get Out. So I'm thinking of the sunken pleasure, where it's like you're in this weird existential space in the back of your brain, and then there's titties.
Yeah, they offer you tea at the strip club.
ting, 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 and then you just descend into a tit space, never to return.
I was going to say, that doesn't sound too bad, but I mean, the never to return part, it's like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, the idea of descending into an infinite tit space doesn't sound too bad, but then eventually you might get bored. And I'm an ass man
forever?
myself, so, you know.
It's 2 strikes.
Oh, wow.
I think this one is by far the most it's the most coherent story-wise. They clearly had an idea, and I think because the other two are more bizarre, this one is, even though it is insane, the premise is insane, it's the most conventional of the 3 of the shows that we're going to talk about. Because
absolutely.
And I think because of that, it's harder for me to think of funnier shit to say about it than was sort of on the page, you know. It's one of those ones that's just go watch it. That's how I feel about it more. And
totally.
And as Anthony mentioned, I think that's why it achieved its sort of cult status, is because it is legitimately funny, and you're I would watch more of this.
It's great to watch after Time Cop. It's a good chaser for that.
Yeah.
Ron Silver.
R.I.P. Ron Silver.
Yeah.
Really?
If I feel so much as one bullet hit me, I'll come over there and pull your lungs through your nostrils.
That's a great. If I feel even one bullet hit me, yeah, that's good.
I think one of my favorite lines from it was, "Come on, you big ball of gas, light my darkest hour."
Yes.
Yeah. And when Christine Taylor was like, "How high did that rocket ship take you before you got totally baked?"
What? Sass.
If you had to choose an adventure for Jack Austin and Heat Vision, if there was going to be an arc for the show, what do you think they could do? Assuming that they had an unlimited budget.
If it were me, I would lean into the motorcycle riding astronaut of it all, and somehow find a way. He finds a way to strap rockets to Heat Vision, and then they ascend into space.
Upgrades to Heat Vision.
Yeah, no, we don't even need Heat Vision. It's not the point. The point is you got to get Jack Austin back into space. That's what
what would happen if he was that close to the sun? Would he turn into a god?
Exactly. Who knows? And that's the thing. Once he is out, once he doesn't have to worry about the burdensome the sun getting in its own way, he just has infinite sun rays hitting him at all points. He might actually just become a god. And
then just kind of explore all of the pratfalls that come with that.
Or anytime he wanders to a planet that has nighttime again, in which case he's got a ticking clock.
I think Paragon could somehow go into the World Wide Web and become immortal and show up in 1999 style.
Just really take some swings at Lawnmower Man.
I am God here.
So, what we're saying is that Paragon and the Lycos dog are going to team up. And
double threat.
Oh, my God.
And the Yahoo Yodel guy, he's going to be there, too.
On a similar note, I probably would have wanted to see some expansion on what the deal is with NASA and why they're evil, and what the deal is exactly with Ron Silver and his ability to just kind of throw things with a flick of his wrist, and how he's basically a Terminator as well as...
Yeah, he's a cyber soldier, Ron Silver.
Yeah.
It's all a big audition for James Cameron. That's probably...
There we go. That would be spectacular.
Yeah.
That would be a delightful, one season B-story arc. I would be all there for that.
He's just on the phone with his agent. Hey, did you get that? Did you get that latest tape over to James?
You mean they didn't have security cameras? Kills his assistant.
I like a
did you
I
hear
like a world where I like a show where the movie Time Cop exists. Like just
Yes.
in general, I like a movie where in that universe we still have Time Cop,
adds
or a
part.
show we still have Time Cop. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a good that's a good milestone for society.
I think so.
And the believability of a story.
Inevitably, everything gets remade. Everything gets rebooted. So since Dan Harmon could make something Heat, Vision, and Jack related, would it still be the same actors, or
Absolutely, just change the entire concept. Have Justin Roiland do half the cast and call it Rick and Morty.
Yep.
No, that's not fair. That's not nice. It's a tough one. I would assume some up and comers. That's kind of his style when it comes to stuff. I mean, with the exception of Community and getting Chevy Chase, that
honestly
amazing.
just feel like Dan Harmon's Chevy Chase stories. I think my favorite one is him getting the entire cast and crew of Community in front of his wife and obviously grown adult children, but go fuck yourself, Chevy. Like raise their glasses.
Yeah.
In front of him and his wife and everyone. It's like, God damn, your alcoholism knows no bounds, Dan Harmon.
But no, let's see. If he were to do Heat, Vision, and Jack, I feel like he would probably want to do something potentially animated. So I feel like that would have some longevity. But
he did go back and forth with that for a minute. I was reading.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean,
it feels like an animated. It feels like a show they would animate today, probably because of the high production costs. It's so hard to get sci-fi made these days. I mean, Star Trek Picard cost like $1 gajillion, and then no one watched it on CBS All Access. So it's just like it's hard to see anybody taking a risk on big sci-fi these days. You know,
fair, but
that's
also,
true.
I mean,
but it's also camp comedy sci-fi, so it's hard to so it's hard to know. Like
it's definitely an Adult Swim style show.
For
sure.
I feel like if you did animate it, it would lose some of its charm because a lot of the practical effects, like the big stupid pirate strip club and the diner and all the other little set pieces and Jack Black up on wires with exploding light bulbs everywhere because he knows everything.
Its lo-fi-ness adds to its charm too. Like
absolutely.
It was shot on tape. It's in 4:3. Like it just has this. It looks just like it has the same color palette as like Married with Children. You know, like it just,
Life was the newest song. I think
it was the newest song that was
licensed in that episode.
Sure. Other than that, and you've got that Tom Jones song as the theme song, which is also excellent.
Exactly. Yeah. Just to kind of lend more to your point.
I'm trying to think, like it would be so tough because I think Jack Black is one of those actors that he doesn't do much acting most of the time. He's just being Jack Black in whatever scene or situation you've put him in, except for that movie Bernie, where I really do feel like he played a full and complete character. It's a Linklater movie. A
lot of comedic actors. I didn't know that was Linklater. That makes sense though because he was from Texas.
Yeah, that was good. I enjoyed that.
But anyway, my point being, it's hard to see anybody else in roles that Jack Black has previously played because I just think that it almost feels like every role that Jack Black has ever played was written specifically for him to play. Because how could you have known? How could you have written that? That's who he is.
Skadoosh. Your favorite roles that the cast has done since then?
Lightning McQueen.
Heat Vision.
I think that Heat Vision prepared.
It prepared Owen Wilson to be a talking vehicle.
To be a talking vehicle, and not just any talking vehicle, a Disney talking vehicle. Because I mean, what did you have before that? He is the Disney talking vehicle. Well, next to Larry the Cable Guy as Mater.
If you asked like 17-year-old me, I would have said, "Oh, my favorite is Wedding Crashers." But I watched that movie again fairly recently. And it does not hold up at all. Just not even a little bit. It's the rapiest movie I've ever watched.
Seriously.
Huh.
Yeah. So uncomfortable.
Have not gone back to it in a while.
Now
was
that 05?
05.
I'm reviewing the story beats in my head, and yeah.
It's basically just a series of comical sexual assaults on Vince Vaughn.
Hey. Everybody shout now. Contact the authorities now.
Hey, remember Rudy? He was in that too. Honestly,
I would have
still
said
think
Shanghai Nights, but
yeah, you're probably right. Shanghai Noon he's pretty good in that.
he is, but I'm also a huge Jackie Chan mark. So
as am I. I think Thunderbolt is in my top 5 movies of all time.
Oh, fucking of course it is.
It's so stupid. Everything about it is stupid. There's cars and Jackie Chan sings the theme song.
Oh, I forgot about that. There we go. Yep.
So
what about you, Anthony?
I think as far as Owen Wilson,
Owen Wilson or Jackie Chan. No, I mean Jack Black.
I loved Owen Wilson and that dog that died, and that what was it, Marley and Me?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
He was great as the dying dog.
Crying the movie.
No, I love Owen Wilson actually. I do love. I think the Darjeeling Limited. I love his role in that, the Wes Anderson film.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's delightfully terrible in that movie. If you haven't watched it,
actually, I do know. What's the Woody Allen film with the time travel?
Oh, Midnight in Paris.
Midnight in Paris. Yeah, that's probably my favorite Owen Wilson movie of all time. I think he's
fantastic in that.
He's great in that. Like, he's so good, and everyone is good. Like, everybody in that movie is.
It's just a damn good movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
no,
no!
I think like I said, I figured Heat Vision Jack was going to be the hardest one to talk about because it is the most cohesive and coherent and the funniest one, I think.
Sure.
And so it's hard not to just do a plot synopsis and be like, oh yeah, this was funny, and then that happened. Oh yeah, that was really funny too, because it's just pretty funny.
It worked. It just worked, and like Jeremy said earlier, just go watch it, and you're good.
Mm-hmm.
It's also the hunt for some of the like behind the scenes and production stuff.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun info that I didn't know about it. That actually makes it even more interesting.
Absolutely, go hunting for that. That's my recommendation. If you like to see behind the curtain, go for it. They've got a surprising amount of content.
To see.
Yeah.
Here on Why Should I Care, we have a rating system of I do care or I don't care. I do, I don't. So quite simple, really. Andy, how was Heat Vision and Jack for you? Do you care?
I care. I care a lot. I think that it's an important point in history for several careers. Also, it was funny, silly, and just ridiculous, which I'm totally down for.
Jeremy?
Yeah.
I have to say that I also care. I think this show had a lot of promise, and it's probably just that it was the network that ordered the pilot that kept it from really running. If it had been HBO or Showtime or one of those other, like even like a Comedy Central, like those cable networks from the late 90s, early 2000s, I think it would have at least gotten 6 episodes. But because it was Fox and they spent so much money on it, and I assume it focus tested weird, they just said, cut our losses, which is a shame. But that's when you get network money, you also get network influence.
For sure. So let's do a bonus vote. Reboot or don't reboot? Andy?
Tough call. I would say don't reboot. And not because I didn't like it, but because I feel like the people who were involved, I feel like it was a product of its time, and trying to go back to it and trying to recapture that would probably result in a subpar product that would be disappointing to fans of the original pilot. That's me.
I tend to agree. I don't think the nostalgia hit is necessarily worth it. Though I do think if it were going to be rebooted, if you could do it with the original cast, sans everyone who's dead, which is, a couple of them, in an animated form, you probably could that would be the only way you could do it, because I don't think you could recast it.
Well, I vote do reboot. I think that it's obscure enough, for comedy fans. I think they are in the know, or Jack Black fans are in the know of the show. But there's probably a good chunk of the population where this isn't even on the radar. So I do think it would be interesting to see a fresh take on it, a non-1999, 2020 version of this could be retro and still interesting. And if Dan Harmon was at the helm, I trust that he could do that. So I'm gonna vote reboot.
Yeah, all right.
I could see that, yeah.